Thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. And my name is Brad Schmidt. I'm the UAV sales director or sales manager at Applanix. And today, what I'd like to do is just give you some updates on what we've been working on at Applanix. Our technologies may be a little bit different than what you've seen so far today. You've seen imagery kind of on the end user side, some really interesting things going on there. I'm going to take us a little bit more upstream in terms of technology. Applanix as a company, we basically, what we do is we provide positioning and orientation solutions for doing direct georeferencing, really in a just a very simple description of what we do. A lot of systems out there in the aerial mapping side use our technology, such as Vexel and others as well. You really kind of need good direct georeferencing technology for LiDAR these days. It's very common to find that technology in LiDAR systems, and we'll see a little bit more about that today. So just a little bit about Applanix. For maybe some of the new members who are part of MAPS now, or if you're just joining for the first time and may not know a lot about Applanix, but we were a spin-off of Honeywell in 1991. We basically focus on INS technology, inertial navigation systems, and did a lot of development with that and integrated those with GNSS systems for georeferencing. A lot of our pedigree is from the manned airborne side. More recently now, also adding the UAV side. I'll talk a little bit more about that. In 2003, we were acquired by Trimble, so that was a great match because Trimble's a leader in the GNSS arena, and of course, Applanix are specialists in the INS IMU arena. And by combining that technology, we were able to provide some very important solutions for direct georeferencing. So from the airborne side of things, we basically have two business segments. We have a manned business segment and an unmanned business segment. The manned business segment is basically a mature industry. We've been in that industry for about 30 years and supporting that industry. The unmanned side of things is new, kind of more of a Wild West type of environment where there's lots of new developments, new players, consolidations, etc. I'll talk a little bit about that later too in my presentation. So what I wanted to do first is just talk a little bit about what we're doing on the manned airborne side. So we continue to improve our products and basically by adding new and improved IMU systems for capturing orientation data. And of course, the GNSS systems, the Trimble Maxwell GNSS systems are continually upgraded as well. So we have ongoing improvements in that area. One of the new developments we had, in fact, we just had a press release about a week or so ago, is something called the Trimble AP Air. And in the world of integrated GNSS IMUs, we've had a lot of requests from our customers saying, well, you know, we really like your technology and we'd like to integrate that technology into a sensor payload, which we could move between our manned airborne system, our unmanned airborne systems, and our mobile mapping systems. So basically integrate it once and use many times. So we've worked on that and actually taken a lot of our great technology from the manned aerial segment and refactored that to a smaller footprint, a much smaller footprint, a much lighter unit, and a unit that uses quite a bit less power than in our typical manned airborne systems. And so in this way, you can actually fit this unit to a UAV sensor payload or to a manned sensor payload and move that payload around to the platforms that you want to use that on. So that's something new. I'll just give you a little bit more detail about what we have in that arena. So we have something called an AP Plus 18, which is our standard board for this crossover between UAV and manned industry for direct georeferencing. We have the APX, AP plus 18, I should say. EI stands for external IMU. This is for any kind of platforms that are going to be supported by a gimbal. And then we have a series of IMUs increasing in terms of capability and precision for various types of mapping jobs. So these ones mainly would be used more on the manned airborne side, but all of this technology can be integrated on UAV platforms as well. So we're pretty excited about that. Just a couple of, I don't want to get into too much of the features of this. This is available on our website, but these systems can be upgraded to real-time RTX, or they can, well, they include RTX capability. They are RTX ready. So if you're looking at kind of integrating a virtual correction system with that, that's available with this, as well as upgradable to RTK for real-time corrections and mapping. So that's part of this chipset as well. This is perhaps our most advanced chipset because it contains a lot of new capabilities that we've embedded into the technology for direct georeferencing. As I say, it's an integrate once, use many time concept. So that's a bit of a change in the industry, where you can integrate these your units for capturing positional data and capturing orientation data, and then basically integrating that into your sensor payload and moving that payload between different types of platforms. A few other things here. Basically, it's fully works with our POSPAC processing software. So our POSPAC software supports platforms in the manned airborne space, the unmanned airborne space, the marine survey space, as well as autonomous land mapping, and basically using with autonomous vehicles as well. So I want to talk a little bit more about our board set on the UAV side of things. So basically what Applanix does is we take the GNSS IMU technology, integrate that, and we basically specifically calibrate the IMU units for surveying and mapping. That's what we do on the airborne and the unmanned sector. So we're all about turning your UAV into a professional mapping solution. And we can do that with any number of different imaging sensor payloads, so LiDAR, hyperspectral, cameras, radar, etc. All of those are supported. This is just a quick look at our UAV boards, very similar to what you've seen with the new AP Plus Air, but these are a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. These are all specifically designed for UAV mapping and specifically for supporting surveying and mapping missions. So our APX15 board is essentially our kind of our key flagship board. It's used on most, or it's our, I guess, our bestseller in our UAV portfolio. Very, very good for any kind of local areas mapping projects, such as you would have with construction or any kind of local inventory work. We also have a version of that for gimbals. So we add basically a second IMU. So there's an IMU integrated with the GNSS on the main airframe, and then a separate IMU that fits on a gimbal platform. So we have basically a set of positional data and a couple of sets of orientation data that can be corrected to perform direct georeferencing. The APX18 is basically used for static type work or facade scanning or infrastructure scanning, where you're moving slow or maybe in a stationary position capturing imagery. It supports a dual antenna configuration so that we can control the trajectory and get very, very accurate information. And then finally, we have our APX20 unit, which is for kind of using a IMU from our manned airborne sector and integrating that with the GNSS capability. So this particular unit can fly higher, above 300 feet, etc., and still capture very, very accurate information. So a couple of centimeters in the horizontal and about 3 to 5 centimeters in the vertical. So this would be good for projects where, say, for example, you're flying corridors at a little higher altitude, etc., using something like a LiDAR device to capture that information. Augmentation solutions. Actually, I just want to put a plug in for our augmentation seminar on Thursday of this week. We're doing actually a special seminar on this. I believe it's at 10 or 11 in the morning, but if you go to our website, there's lots of great information on this as well. But we do offer a number of augmentation solutions. So we offer a physical base station. This is something called a smart target. It's a very cheap and cheerful product. You can toss this into the field, start it up logging data right away, and it can be used as the target can be used to capture a checkpoint for your data. Of course, with direct georeferencing, you can certainly reduce the number of ground control points or even eliminate the number of ground control points you use in our mission, in your mapping missions. That's one of the big advantages of direct georeferencing. So that is a product that supports our direct georeferencing solutions. We're all seeing in the UAV industry a move from the physical base station to a virtual base station. So we offer a solution on this as well, something called Smart Base. It's actually part of our post-processing software called POSPAC, or it's also available separately as a cloud processing solution. So this uses the local cores network to basically perform your corrections or provide a base station for a virtual base station or reference station for doing your post-processing corrections. And finally, we have another product, something called the Trimble PP-RTX product. This is a network of reference stations that Trimble is building worldwide, and it's continually augmented and improved. Now it takes, in the UAV sector, certainly it takes some time to initialize the PP-RTX solution. About 30 minutes before flight, you have to basically be capturing this data. We do have, though, fast initialization, which is available in most parts of the USA and Canada and in Europe, and initialization takes about 5 minutes to get started with that. So we're seeing a move to the virtual reference stations, yeah, certainly in the UAV side of things, and so this is one of the solutions that we offer for that. Just move on to data processing and what we offer there. So we have a couple of solutions. As I mentioned before, we have our POSPAC MMS software, which supports all of our positioning and orientation solutions, whether it's in the airborne field, whether it's in the marine field, or whether it's in the autonomous land, mobile mapping, etc. And then we have a subset of that, something called POSPAC UAV, which is basically manufactured specifically for the UAV industry. Both of these products support the augmentation systems that I spoke about before and can be used in those mapping solutions. So this is just a little bit more about our POSPAC UAV software. And essentially this holds true for the POSPAC MMS software as well too. So we take the input into this particular software or into our post-processing software is the raw GNSS inertial data that is collected along with the base station or the virtual reference station data. We put that into the post-processing software, and then basically we the other side comes basically an exterior orientation file or a LAS file that can be then moved into a subsequent application or applications, which I'll talk about in just a minute. One of the add-ons to our POSPAC environment is something called POSPAC LiDAR QC tools. So on the UAV side, this is a UAV product. It basically has capabilities for doing the bore sight calibration as well as trajectory adjustments, and it also generates the LiDAR or the LAS point cloud file or the LiDAR file that you can then use in other applications to create information products. You can see here a before and after shot, so you can see how the POSPAC LiDAR QC tools is actually able to improve the LiDAR data. And so that's a simple add-on to our POSPAC UAV software. Beyond the POSPAC software, you can move the data into really any any application that will accept a, EO file or a LAS file, and there's many out there that do that. Or you can use our own Trimble software, something called UAS Master. So this is a product for doing the information product generations or generation from the imagery. It also performs the camera calibration, has tools for camera calibration as well as bore sighting and datum calibration. So very robust package for the use in the UAV industry, and we have a version for this for the manned industry as well too. So this is our follow-on product, but there's certainly all of the other. There's a lot of great information product generation tools out there from companies like Bentley, etc., Esri. So you can use any of those tools as well to accept the data and to further process that data. Something a little bit new that I want to talk about for our OEM partners. These are all OEM products per se. They need to be integrated into, meaning they essentially need to be integrated into the sensor payloads of the camera systems, the LiDAR systems that are being used. So one of the things that we have implemented is basically using the technology that I have talked about as a service. So basically that's hardware as a service and software as a service. So essentially providing, we provide to our OEM partners the hardware technology, the software technology, essentially on a subscription basis, which they in turn pass along to their customer base. Really what this allows is for companies, say for example, if they're getting into AV surveying and mapping business, they can simply rent a system and try it out, test it in the environment, try it for 3 months, try it for 6 months, try it for a year, and then basically if that particular configuration is useful and valuable to the business that they are supporting, then they'll often turn around and actually purchase a system outright. But it is a low-cost entry into the surveying and mapping business, certainly on the UAV side. There's a lot of organizations out there that are getting into this business. They're a little bit worried about it because they're not sure exactly how everything works and the kind of quality of the data products that they can get and what they can do. So this provides a very easy entry into this whole world of surveying and mapping with UAVs. So a couple of companies that are currently offering this in the industry, a company called GeoQ Group. They have a really good system. They offer it on this basis, or you can purchase their systems outright. That's a kind of a sensor payload they offer. And also Microdrones has recently introduced this as well too. So you can rent systems from them and fly them and try them. Along with the hardware as a service, we also offer the software as a service. So linked to the hardware as a service, we offer a post-processing solution in the cloud called POSPAC Cloud. And that basically allows users to collect the data and to process it in the cloud on a subscription basis. Again, no need to buy the software. One only pays for the actual time that is used in the platform, in the cloud platform, to process the data. So again, kind of a low entry cost point to get into the business. And that's it for me. I realize I'm kind of between here and our break, so I just had a kind of a quick update on some of the things that we're working on. This is how you can get a hold of us. So certainly our website, applanix.com. We have web pages for both our manned airborne products and our UAV products. If you want more information on the SmartBase product, we have our applanixsmartbase.com website is dedicated to SmartBase. And if you want to contact us directly, it's sales@applanix.com. And we also have a great YouTube channel where we have a lot of our videos and additional information. So on that note, I'll wrap up my presentation and I'll open it to any questions, and then we can move on to the break.
Thank you, Brad. That was great. I do see one question here. Can you speak about any ITAR restrictions on particular IMUs or other technologies?
Yes, I can. So basically, we have tried to avoid any ITAR restrictions on our technology. The reason for that is that we do operate in the commercial sector, although we do some work on the defense sector as well too. But yeah, there's not a lot of ITAR restrictions, above what may be the obvious in terms of various countries that you can probably tabulate them yourself in terms of what they are. But yes, no, we're very much concentrated on eliminating or certainly reducing ITAR restrictions.
Very good. I was intrigued by the smart base target.
Yeah.
How big is the target?
The target is about square foot, and maybe a little bit bigger than that with the GNSS receiver in the center. It just sits in the center of the target. So it's very easy to use the product. You just basically toss it out in the field wherever you are. It'll start recording data. It's got a very nice Google and iPhone interface to it to basically manage that data, so you can kick it off that way. So very, very efficient solution for the UAV industry in particular, where you're flying lower. And basically, due to the fact that you do not need to collect ground control points on the UAV side, you can just put that target in the field of view that you're collecting, turn on the receiver, and you'll have your correction data once you can land your flight and post-process your data.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Brad, thank you very much. Always appreciate Applanix's support. Pretty much everyone within MAPS uses an Applanix product, either directly or indirectly, because they're in all the other sensors. So we do appreciate it. Thank you for the information.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Much appreciated.